somebody's listening to the racing or something like that. Anyway, now our next performers tonight are Kieth and Suzanne Drake, and they have a long, they have quite a lot of form actually. They've been members of Merton Poets for something like 15 years, and they performed all over the London area and also in Yorkshire. Kieth is twice winner of the Collierswood Poetry Slam. The most recent one was this May. And Kieth and Suzanne have also performed and created a musical, a poetry musical called Aerobic Cabaret, which has been performed at the Rose Theatre in Kingston, the Colour House in Collierswood, and also Wimbledon Library. So without more ado, please welcome Kieth and Suzanne Drake, or Suzanne and Kieth Drake.
This is domestic treason.
Ever so slightly off this axis is the world it seems today. The pavements have turned to marshmallow and the paving stones are pink, not grey. It starts as a flutter in the solar plexus, so it seems, then glides back in at 2 AM, tormenting sterile dreams. I smell you when I close my eyes, I want to impress you, I want to tell lies. I quiver, I'm tongue-tied when you're in the room, then trying to be clever, construct my own tomb. You're a prancing pony, you're a lithe gazelle, you're Beau de Seer, you're Tinkerbell. I'd swim the channel if you asked me to, fight all the gorillas in the London Zoo, dive to the bottom of the deepest lake, serve you my heart on a silver plate.
I'd make you a sandwich and cut off the crust, write your name in 10 years of dust. I'd read all the papers upside down, wrestle with an itchy eiderdown, 'cause I'd do anything for you. On New Year's Eve I'd ask for hush, scrub the loft with an old toothbrush. I'd bite a shark if that's what it takes, ride down Box Hill without any brakes, 'cause I'd risk anything for you. I'd shred my address book with all its names, plumbers, glaziers and a few old flames, go to Heathrow's arrival gate and wait all night if your plane were late, 'cause I'd wait any time for you. And if you ever said you were going away, then I'd auction all my DNA in a desperate attempt to make you stay, 'cause deep down in the biochemistry department, I'd deconstruct for you.
It took 46 seconds for that sparkler to die. In November's gloom, I wrote your name in the sky. I love you, I wrote in crisp liquid flame, between emerald cascades and golden rain. 2 months on from the bonfire's warm glow, I write your name in the first fall of snow.
We beat the weather of Gunnerside Gill with waterproof boots and the strength of your will. Trudging releases the shackles' fine grip on conformity, timetables, memory and wit. Sucking tomatoes and discussing abstractions is aided and abetted by mechanical actions. And as we traverse that ice-edged canyon, I couldn't imagine a better companion.
Do you remember all that mischief on the coast near Aberystwyth? You were rubbing my body like a lump of unplaned wood. In the ozone and Gulf Stream, we enhanced our self-esteem, then wandered off to find a cup of tea.
Or that day upon the heather, when we defied inclement weather, exploring every contour on the map. In that refreshing July rain, we did it all again, then opened up our rucksacks and had a flask of tea.
And do you recall that time in BHS? We were the cause of much distress to an assistant who found us in the lift. Between kitchenware and paradise, that afternoon was nice, nice, nice. Then we went down to the snack bar and had a mug of tea.
Now you suck and you stroke and you kiss and you lick, then you end up snoring and it seems so dreadfully boring. So I go downstairs and make a cup of tea.
The price of domestic insurance is going through the roof. And we'll have to get another loan if you want to cap that tooth. And there's a patch of damp upon the wall where the calendar used to be. I want to curl up in a ball. Would you kindly tickle me?
I don't want you to possess me or make my pelvis wriggle. I've told you once, I'll tell you again, all I want is a little tickle. Tickle my ribs, tickle my knee, tickle me with alacrity, tickle me under the Van Allen belt, tickle me till my fuses melt.
We've got to follow a serious path. It's late, we're skint, no time to laugh. We occupy the land of hard knocks, so this is where the tickling stops.
Forget that pile of unopened letters and stimulate my touch receptors. Forget repossession, bankruptcy bills, that nightmare of unclimbable hills. Any attempt to wipe things clear would occupy a Martian year. Tickle my chin, stroke my back, and I'll slink around like a Siamese cat.
Torture, torture, sleepless nights, indigestion, pointless fights. Forget the checks, forget the rent, let's gypsy it in a two-man tent. Tickle me where fact meets fiction. You know I have a predilection to carefully avoid the issue while you gently stimulate my tissue. So tickle me with relish, tickle me today. Say you'll never stop till the pain goes away. The kids have gone to bed. The rooms are still as a lake. The telly's showing the ad of the wonderful Copenhagen break. Then some lardy-dar in a dog collar starts spouting out the screen, telling me I'm going to be saved by a man he's never seen. The kids have gone to bed. They're tucked up safe and sound. I'm trying to unravel bank statements, but me head's spinning round. She'd get at least 50,000 when the coffin lid closed on me face. Enough for an arse and tummy tuck, plus the mortgage on this place. The kids have gone to bed. They could go to Disneyland. Do they really need a dad when a plastic mouse could hold their hand?
I want to tell you, mother-in-law, your little boy's a beast. In public he's angelic, demure as a country priest. He claims that he's a socialist, cares for the human race, but he leaves the milk on top of the fridge and papers all over the place. He cares for the starving millions, the poor and the dispossessed. He applies himself with vigour and sanctimonious zest. Well lubricated with red wine and endless cups of tea, he saves the threatened rhino and the future of the hardwood tree. I share his generous principles, his warmth and his humanity, but his attitude to the prosaic is verging on insanity. He never wants to look at bills or do the household chores, and considers that anyone organised must be steaming bores. He's a lovely man, a cuddly man. You know I love him dearly. I share his basic convictions. His sincerity I can't query. All I want's a garden with perspective and a cherry tree. But his brotherly love evaporates when he has to think of me. So I'll construct my imaginary garden, as I know things can never get better. That's why I'm telling you, mother-in-law, I'll never post this letter. I've dropped my standards, as you'll observe, traversed the female learning curve. Blue Fork lightning was so exciting, now nothing can arouse me.
Utilitarian leisure wear hanging limply from the chair. If there's a reason for domestic treason, would you believe fatigue?
Slumpiness, you must agree, has trickled down your family tree. From Monday to Friday, your mind is untidy, and your soul is downright slovenly.
The working day is framed in lead. Your zippity-doo-dah is filed under Z. Irritation isn't just a word, it can lead to murder, so I've heard. We haven't a reason, and it ain't the season for making pointless whoopee.
Okay, so we're just specks of cosmic dust, driven on by greed and lust. The igloo's safe, secure and light. Outside it's cold and the frost will bite.
We've been roped together down the years, domiciliary mountaineers. But without a compatibility pill, it's endless descent and zero thrill.
Forget this cruel joke. Abandon ship, cut the rope, drain your glasses, appliances off, or choke on sentimental tosh.
When it's very clear from the atmosphere that domestic life is a drag, then try the pain-relieving, fun-retrieving infidelity rag.
At the breakfast table, if you're barely able to stifle a renegade yawn, then dance the incomparable, what do I careable, infidelity rag.
You meet him in a bar, he's got a nice flash car, his socks end up in your handbag. You've joined the double crossing, underhand, cop-offing, infidelity rag.
You get credentials down in some old seaside town, only stopping for a fag. You've joined the health-inducing, weight-reducing, infidelity rag.
On those weekend breaks, you ripple like snakes, and Monday seems so far away. That source of attraction says, on with the action, dance the infidelity rag.
When you invest so much, you can get out of touch. The world can shrink to just 4 walls. So try to appease it with a new analgesic, infidelity rag.
Now you're on the road with a new moral code, and hedonism is the key. It's the 21st century, multiple entry, infidelity rag. Should I buy a new tuxedo, parachute into a sharky sea, bleach my hair albino, or wait until she speaks to me? The ball has crossed the line, the ref's whistled in her brain. I want to start the game once more, but it's all slipping down the drain. She'll be in that muscle-bound Jaguar, on leather, gently reclining, while I take swigs of Smirnoff and try and do the ironing. He runs pinball machines in a shabby Kentish resort. It's not exactly a cutpurse, it's just he's never been caught. One day my shiny shotgun will penetrate his mouth. 'Cause if I'm 3rd division, he's 4th division south.
The bottom dropped out. I had to scream and shout. I went round the bend on hearing of your little friend, almost a teenager, so they say, pretty in an anemic way. The SO station's female assistant, the one who looks a bit vague and distant. You had my life gift-wrapped, you weasel! I hope her knickers smell of diesel.
Oh, go and jump in the Bosphorus, darling. That's exactly what you said. Then you flew back to England and wished me a long time dead. The first minutes of the rest of our lives had only just begun, but the astringency of that remark blocked out the Turkish sun. And I remember the message on the Kleenex box when I was just a boy. The stark blue lettering read, pull, tear, use, destroy.
I wish to rekindle the arrangement that we had. I don't trust you, I don't like you, but you're all I've ever had. You are cruel, you are vicious, negative and mean. I don't trust you, I don't like you, I'm really not that keen. You were critical, disparaging and quick to disapprove. And if I had somewhere to go, I'm sure I'd make the move. I don't trust you. I don't like you. You shrink responsibility. What knowledge do you have of another's sensibility? My judgment is clouded. I know I'm doing wrong. Yet this little voice inside says, cling on, cling on, cling on.
When that object of affection is worth a second glance, you've reached that heightened state of being that's sometimes called romance. Why dither with the future, keep loneliness at bay? You sign upon the dotted line for tomorrow and a day. But when the caramel and saccharine have run their sticky course, and the bubbles and the lemonade are flat, your amore reminds you of the rear end of a horse. There's only one solution, which is, of course, divorce.
We inhabited a fairyland where the Weetabix were pink. Now your bacteria lives and multiplies on the draining board and sink. You said we'd cross the Andes on a pair of docile llamas. Now you study life insurance in Winceyette pyjamas.
You were the bluish cocktail in a lightly sugared glass. Now you're the rude mechanical in a well-rehearsed old farce. There's nothing left to bind us, no transcendental force. There's only one solution, which is, of course, divorce.
You have a minimalist approach to the most rudimentary things, and I do object to being called old thing or indoors.
With a threadbare towel around your head and only the cat to admire us, you shuffle round with the alacrity of a semi-frozen virus. You claim hunger and emptiness, but your petulance is perverse. Are you the only perfumed malcontent in a lonely universe?
I want to squeeze and squeeze and squeeze and get my just reprisals, not with my loving arms, but with a ligature of sizer.
In our rare romantic sessions, you'd give the Ice Queen private lessons on how to grin and bear it with content. You're as dynamic as a tortoise with encroaching rigor mortis, yet you think your charms are really heaven sent.
We'll disembowel the marriage corpse, drag the entrails down the street, drape them across suburban trellis work, so avant-garde, so sweet.
The rules of love are manifold, impossible to enforce. There's only one solution, which is, of course, divorce.
You heard it? Poetry soap opera, fantastic. More applause please for Kieth and Suzanne Drake. I know DHS was so exciting, I'd go there more often. Right, for our final act in the first half, I'd like to introduce Steve Suzanne. Steve I've known and read on platforms with for many years, about 20 years I suppose, despite our youthful appearance. Steve was a writer in residence for the Dickens year last year. He's also a novelist. His first novel comes out in October. It's called Blood Donors, and he is a very active and prominent poet, and he lives in the South Coast now, but we're glad to have him back up here in London in the Big Smoke, so please welcome Steve Suzanne.
Thank you. Hello. That was great. Brilliant. Good example of polyvocal poetry. Really enjoyed that very much. Thank you. And